Hello YouTube again. Here I am to prove that Sandy Hook was not a hoax. One of the reasons people are using is that all the mourning parents were actors because, you can't have real families mourning children. So they had to bus in people from Colorado because in Colorado there's a school to teach people to pretend that they've been at, a plane crash, a chemical spill, you name it, a shooting. But you see, those people they don't just walk around sad looking. They actually have bandages and blood running from them, and they're lying on the ground, and doctors come to their aid. It's not it's not acting like, hey, everyone just stand in a group looking sad. That's not what this school does. The school makes it look like a plane crash happened, where things are on fire, people are all over the place, lying dead, limbs missing. They don't just have people standing around going, "Oh, I'm so sad." They don't have that. Now, one of the main actors, as they say, is Dr. H. Wayne Carver. Now, Dr. H. Wayne Carver, I will admit, is not your average everyday person when it comes to talking about death. But this man, I don't know what the number is, but it's in the thousands of thousands that he is seen dead. So death to him and what death to me is not the same thing. But I digress. Dr. H. Wayne Carver, 11 Shuttle Road, Farmington, Connecticut, 06032. Phone number. Years of experience, 31. Okay, let's go down a little. His specialties are a physician, pathologist. He graduated from Brown University School of Medicine in 1977. He worked at this hospital, John Dempsey Hospital in Connecticut. Okay, let's not just use one page to show his credentials. Let's go to the next. Here we go. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, the Chief's page. Here we have Dr. H. Wayne Carver II, MD. Here he is, not an actor. He is the Chief Medical Examiner. Now, if they wanted to hire an actor, they didn't have to hire one that's been a medical examiner since the 80s. They could have just picked a guy, any guy, and put him in a gown and said, hey, go out there and act real sad and talk about all the dead little children. But, of course, that's not what happened. So here you go. Welcome to our website. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has always been dedicated to providing the best possible service to those who need us. Again, here we go. Dr. H. Wayne Carver II. This is his picture. And the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner at ct.gov. So, I mean, if they wanted to, make him out to be the real guy, they're doing a lot of work to make that happen. Here we have George Jeffson, Office of the Attorney General, Attorney General's opinion. This is ct.gov once again, another official government website. Attorney General Richard Blumenthal, May 21st, 1991. Wayne H. Carver, MD, Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, 11 Shuttle Road, Farmington, Connecticut, 06032. Exactly like the first page. Now, he's basically writing a letter and, he's trying to change some rules about the office that he works for. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you want to, you can go right ahead. ct.gov, Attorney General Richard Blumenthal, May 21st, 1991. Here we have a story. Reasoner's death may be probed. Chicago Times, September 20th, 1992. And let's see, we'll find Carver. Here he is. Dr. H. Wayne Carver II, the state's chief medical examiner, said Friday he started reviewing Reasoner's records about a month ago, but it will take at least 2 more weeks to finish. Now, what's worth noting here is that, you see, this is just your average death, and that it's one person. And he started reviewing the records a month ago, but it'll still take 2 more weeks. So the fact that people are all freaking out that it's going to take months for a shooting of this magnitude to last 6 months, even a year, to come out with all the Facts. Should not be another smoking gun. This is one guy, and it's taking him, he's reviewing it for a month and then 2 more weeks. Now, of course, he's not, you could say he's not putting in 8 hours a day to this case. But, on a normal case, just a normal death of any magnitude, he doesn't give it a day or two of thought. This is a month plus 2 more weeks. So there you go. And I must note that this is from September 20th, 1992, which Carver, here, state's medical examiner, is looking into the case. Here we have another article about our favorite doctor. Mother search for son ends. December 6th, 1994. Again, showing that he's been doing this for many years. In fact, you could say decades. So here you go. Let's find Mr. Dr. Carver. Here he is. Dr. H. Wayne Carver the third, which it's not really the third, he's the second. The state's medical examiner said he is sure he found the casket bearing the boy's skeletal remains, but only 3 of the many bodies inside had identification bracelets, and more bore the name of Gohan. That is my guess of that name. Sorry if it's not right. Once again, we got another case. This is Jeffrey Kent Ferguson. Classification: mass murderer. Number of victims: 5. Date of arrest: 1995. So, a pretty high profile case. Let's find out what Carver has to say. Here we go. Dr. H. Wayne Carver II, which again, the last page said 3, but this is second. Connecticut's chief medical examiner said autopsies revealed that all 5 men had died of gunshot wounds to the head. As you remember, I just finished saying that this man murdered 5 people. Although he did not identify the victims, friends, relatives, and town officials said they were the 3 tenants: Scott, 21, David, 22, Jason, whose age was not available, Sean, 22, and David, 26. Guess what? Here we go again. Inmate's cause of death elusive. August 30th, 2000. We look for Carver. Again, here we go. State Medical Examiner H. Wayne Carver II has listed the manner of death for 28-year-old Bryant Wiseman of Hartford as sudden death during restraint, with a significant existing factor of coronary, well, your guess is as good as mine on this word, or thickening or blocking of the arteries. So here you go. 2000, another case. Wayne Carver. Here we have a pretty big case. This is from November 24th, 2001. A nation challenged. No anthrax is found at victim's home or 2 nearby postal centers. This was a very big story back then. This is when anthrax was being mailed to people and they died. Now let's see where Mr. Carver is on this name. Well, here we go. But Dr. H. Wayne Carver II, the state's chief medical examiner, who performed the autopsy on Miss Lundgren's body with the assistance of 4 CDC specialists Wednesday, said today that the official cause of her death will remain open until investigators finish their work. Now, here's one of those times where, this is Carver on the record, and again, I'm not saying this guy is an odd, because he does, he deals with dead people all day, and even the smartest doctor in the world isn't the most sensitive when it comes to death. Obviously, he's surrounded by it. But here's just a statement that, I find odd myself. So here we go. Obviously, if this was a crime assault, then we'd classify it as a murder, Dr. Carver said in an interview today. But if they find a dead cow under her rose bushes, God forbid, then that might indicate it was more like an accident. So here you go. This person died of anthrax, and he's talking about dead cows under her rose bushes, which again, doesn't make him not less of a doctor or an actor. It just means that he says things that are just a little bit odd. Well, you guessed it. Here we go again. Fatal wounds described. September 21st, 2001. And here's Dr. Wayne Carver. Dr. Wayne Carver, the state's chief medical examiner, testified on state's behalf to establish the manner of death for Joanne, and Lynn, 1826. Two of the four people slaughtered in a Southington home over $400 cocaine debt, state prosecutors say. And the proof just keeps on coming. People's killer likely strangled her with bare hands, M.E. says, M.E. being medical examiner. September 24th, 2010. So here you go. The last one was 2001. This one's 2010. Shows you he's been doing it for over a decade. People's died from blunt traumatic injuries to the head and neck, Dr. Wayne Carver said in Superior Court during Crenshaw's murder trial. So here you go. He's not just saying it on the, in the newspaper. This is testimony that he gave before the Superior Court. So I don't think you're going to have an actor going before a Superior Court and testifying about what's going to happen, what happened in this death. Some more. Trial in 1999 homicide begins in Hartford. This one took 3 years, as you can see, January 23rd, 2012. So you can see, as of 2012, he was still the medical examiner, not an actor. Let's find Mr. Carver. Oh, way down here. Martin died of a single gunshot wound. Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Harold Wayne Carver testified that the bullet entered the left side of Martin's back and wound up in his chest. Details emerge as testimony begins in murder trial. This is, a lot of the other pages were all from the same source, because it is the local paper of Conneticut. So here's one that, I don't really think it is from Conneticut. It's just, another paper, but it could be from Conneticut. Who knows? Posted Monday, February 9th, 2009. Let's see here, Carver. Here we go. The jury also heard from 6 police officers, a paramedic, and the state's chief medical examiner, Dr. H. Wayne Carver, in connection to the shooting death of Edgar Sanchez, a 20-year-old Bridgeport resident who died about 25 minutes after being struck by a bullet in the lower abdomen on March 22nd, 2007. There you go. Police and courts. Trial underway in Eugene Molive homicide. 4/9/2012. Updated 4/10/2012. Okay. Here we go. Here's the defendant. And let's find our doctor. Powers also attended Molive's autopsy, where, according to a court document, Dr. H. Wayne Carver documented 32 facial lacerations caused by a blunt instrument, numerous cuts and abrasions to his extremities, and a stab wound to the right forearm. Molive also had a fractured thyroid cartilage. So, there you go. And I'm sorry, this isn't Molive. This is defendant Chad Schaefer. I made an error. Jim Fisher, True Crime. Welcome to the Jim Fisher True Crime blog, a place for people interested in crime, criminal investigation, policing, law, writing, and forensic science. Well, that sounds like a good place for Mr. Carver. Recently, Dr. H. Wayne Carver, the medical examiner for the state of Connecticut, reviewed the McDermott case file and concluded that the gun next to the victim's body was too small a caliber to have fired the fatal shot. In his report, Dr. Carver wrote, the wound also showed that the murder weapon had been pressed to the back of the head. This suggests the victim had been autopsied and photographs had been taken. Here we have the University of Connecticut School of Medicine Fellowship Program, Medical Toxology. Let's find Mr. Carver. Here we go. The Department of Public Health Laboratories under the director of John Fontana, Ph.D., the Hartford Hospital Clinical Laboratory under the direction of Greg Makowski, Ph.D., the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner under the direction of H. Wayne Carver, M.D. So here you go again. He is affiliated with the University of Connecticut and the Medical Toxicology Department. Okay, here we go again. Medical examiner says Annie Lee strangled. Photo video links. September 16th, 2009. Connecticut's medical examiner, who of course we all know who that is, released a report on Wednesday indicating Yale graduate student Annie Lee was strangled to death. Traumatic asphyxiation due to neck compression was the exact cause of death, stated the news release from Dr. Wayne Carver. With Conneticut magazine by Kathy Corman. This is just a one-on-one interview with the doctor. It's not, in a professional setting. He's not talking about an individual murder. He's not on trial. He's just giving an interview to someone from Conneticut magazine. So here we go. Harold Wayne Carver II, MD, could not be more pleased. Asked to explain how guns work. Okay. A gun is a device for imparting an energy to tissue at a distance, he says, the precision of his words contrasting starkly with his actions. Now, this shows he's kind of a quirky guy. He's just giving an interview to someone, and here's a perfect example of his mannerisms and his personal quirks. Rummaging through his box, he absent-mindedly holds bullets between his teeth. Now, who does that? You're here to talk about bullets and the maiming and killing of people, and so he doesn't have enough room to just lie them on a desk like a normal person. He starts putting them in his mouth. So here you go. Holds bullets between his teeth even as he continues to talk. First, it's mechanical energy, the bullet going fast. Then, it pokes a hole and delivers energy to tissue as it slows down. The problem is that, usually, the bullet destroys things other than the tissue it touches. Now, to show the fact that, Dr. Carver is not an anomaly when it comes to detaching himself from the grief and horrendousness of his job, here we have Pierce County Medical Examiner. This man is not an actor. He has no reason to be an actor. He's just the guy who works in Pierce County. He wasn't there on Sandy Hook, so again, you can't say that this man was an actor. Here we go. This is what he has to say.
They are scientists, but of course they are human beings with real human emotions about the vital work they do.
We think of it as a scientific effort, an effort to explain a death, and we have to remain detached from the personal components of the people upon whom we do autopsies. It would be very difficult to do this work if we had a personal attachment with even one of the cases, much less all of them.
So there you go. Talks about basically, you can't take it personal. Now here, another medical examiner. Video is called Find Out What It's Like to Be a Medical Examiner. Uploaded May 18th, 2011. He is Terry Parker, the Chief Medical Examiner of Palm Beach County. Now let's hear what he has to say.
I've always been fascinated with dead bodies and cutting them open.
Now, as you can see, he's always been fascinated with dead bodies, which, not all of us do that. And he's even more fascinated by the fact that he gets to cut them up. Okay. Again, we have another medical examiner. Her name is Dr. G. She was famous because she did the Kaylee autopsy. Now, I'm going to point out that, yes, this woman sort of is an actor, although she is a medical examiner. But, since she became famous, she does have a TV show. Now, you can take that out as it is, but she's just giving an interview, and it has nothing, it doesn't disregard everything else I've shown you so far. I'm just trying to show you another medical examiner who really kind of has a warped view on the world. But I don't blame them. They're around dead people all the time. Here we go.
Okay, and you have a new morgue opening up next month.
New morgue will start business on October 26th. The grand opening is October 23rd.
And what's the address of it?
That's
somewhere in Michigan. I got a new morgue. I just don't know where
it's on the corner of. The new morgue is going to be on the corner of Michigan and Bombay, and I hope nobody has to visit unless they have to.
There you go. She's very excited because she has a new morgue, and as you can see her face, she lit up talking about a place of death, because to her it's just another place of business. But to the average person, we don't light up when we talk about morgues or graves. It just doesn't happen. But these people are not like us. Now here we go. One of many videos reporting that, here we go, see, Sandy Hook school shooting hoax exposed because of the medical examiner. And if we can read what it says here, medical examiner Dr. H. Wayne Carver, fraud actor. Okay, now they picked the worst actor because he's been doing this job for over 30 years, and I've shown you many examples where he's worked on different cases, even under oath. But here, let's see what people think is a fraud.
They're up all on the second floor, and I didn't get there today.
Okay, as you can see, I've watched many videos of Dr. Carver, and that laugh that you just heard him do, I will show you many examples of him doing that when under oath or giving presentations in front of many people where he's not in front of crowds of thousands where millions of people on TV are watching him. He's just acting, which is the poor word here, but he's just acting normal, his normal persona.
And it's my sensibilities may not be the average man.
There you go. He even admits he's not like your average person when it comes to death. He doesn't look death the same way that everyone else does. That does not make him an actor. If at this point he was bawling his eyes out, crying about how there's blood everywhere, blood on the walls, and it's the worst thing he's ever seen in his life, and who knows if he'll be able to continue his practice, yeah, you would have a case for acting. But he's just telling people exactly what he believes and the things he's seen.
Firearms than most pathologists, but if I say it in court, they yell at me and don't make me answer, so I'll let the police deal with that. Dangerous.
But you said it was the long rifle that was used?
Yes.
Are you sure? I thought the long rifle was discovered in the car. That's not correct, sir. Follow up on that question.
So there you go. He is telling people that the Bushmaster was in the school. Now, if you watch any video of them taking the long gun out of the car, it's an obvious shotgun. He did not have the shotgun with him. I've also read that people have said, well, if he had the shotgun with him, what did he do? Shoot the school up with the shotgun, then run outside, throw it in the trunk, then run back in the school and kill himself? You people are idiots. It was a Bushmaster that he had with him. When you watch the video from the car outside, when they retrieve it from the trunk, you can clearly see the man discharging the round that's in the shotgun, and the round is a huge round, and it comes from the right, and it shoots out. And you can see them pumping to make sure that there's no more cartridges in the shotgun.
I don't know. There were lots of them. Okay.
Here we go. He's trying to talk, but of course it's a human. See, I'm even doing it myself. It's a human condition that pauses of any sort aren't really allowed in our society. We've been shaped from young that when you have a pause, you should always fill it with something, and we use ah. Now, I will show you again later on more video of him doing this, not in front of police, in front of reporters, in front of millions of people on TV, him just doing this naturally. And of course it looks odd because he's supposed to be an expert, and he's not. You see, he's not a TV personality. He is a doctor who deals with dead people.
If you can control the situation depending on your photographer, and I have very good photographers.
Again, later on, I will show you where he talks about having a good photographer helping on the scene, because when you're trying to keep evidence, you want to photograph the scene. He's not implying that because he has photographers that are experts in being photographers, that they can make the scene look any different. Any assumption of that is absurd.
No, I don't.
How young?
Sorry, I don't.
How young was the young?
Okay, this has to be probably the most conclusive action that he's done that everyone has latched onto. If he didn't do that, he still would have been an actor, but that one laugh that he does, even though, it's strange. This is the way the guy acts in normal life. He is just normally acting the way he does. He's not a paid actor. And if he was, they wouldn't have told him, hey, go out there and act all goofy and laugh. They would have told him to be as somber as possible, shed a tear once in a while, talk about the dead children more, talk about blood, talk about how blood was everywhere, talk about how you're going to have nightmares for the rest of your life. But instead, he answers their questions exactly the way they're asked. And here he gives a stupid answer and he laughs. Well, if I was paying him to be an actor, I wouldn't have paid him at all.
Don't.
How young?
Sorry, I don't.
How young?
And as you can see, it's repeated over and over because if you didn't catch it the first time, repeated viewings will get you.
We're going to have to look at the spreadsheet when we pass it out. I'm sorry.
Did the gunman kill himself with the rifle?
No. I don't know yet. I'll examine him tomorrow morning.
Precision from the shooter, or was it spread sort of randomly?
Both? It's a very difficult question to answer. Okay. You'd think after the thousands of people I've seen shot, I could answer that question, but it's...
Now, I've already proven that this is a true statement. He's been doing this job for 30 years, and even if you put 1,000 deaths a year, he's dealt with over 30,000 deaths in his career. So this is not a made-up lie. He has literally seen thousands upon thousands of people die, and he has autopsied them himself.
If I attempted to answer it in court, there'd be an objection and they'd win.
Great statement here. I love this. He's giving an interview to literally hundreds of reporters who have millions of people watching. Now, the answer he gives, but then he doesn't want to be definitive because he doesn't want to give away something that in the future will bite him because he was wrong. And these people, of course, have gone, you're not in court. But you see, these people who say you're not in court have already deemed him an actor. So whatever he says is acting. So he doesn't want to say, oh, there was 39 kids killed and they were killed with a bazooka, because then when the truth comes out, they're like, hey, Dr. Carver, you said 39, not 20, and you said bazooka, not Bushmaster. So again, he's trying to cover his base of the fact that he's not trying to be quoted as saying one thing when the truth is another. He's trying to be diplomatic, but at the same time, he's trying not to mislead anyone. But of course, no one takes that, and when he says, I say, when he's been in many, many cases where he's gone into court, and when he goes into court, people have told him, don't say more than you have to, just stick to the facts. So here he is. He's trying to stick to the facts, and he says, when I go into court, lawyers are telling me, do this, do that. So, yeah, he is in court. He's in the court of, people's opinion. That is what the court is right now. It obviously isn't a legal court, but he's being prosecuted under the same rules. Now, here's a question that everyone's all hyped up about too. What were they wearing? Now, this guy, I don't know, he's say 60 years old. He's a medical examiner. What is he supposed to say? They were wearing sandals, some were wearing boots, one was wearing a skirt, some were wearing dresses, one was wearing a smock, one was wearing a hoodie. He's not going to go through the list of what every single kid's wearing. Even if they ask him, hey, what are the police officers around you wearing? He would just say uniforms. He's not going to go a hat. Oh, this guy's wearing glasses. This guy's wearing a jacket. They're wearing boots. Oh, he's got a gun around his neck, waist. No, they were wearing kid stuff. What's the deal with that? That's what they were wearing.
They're wearing cute kid stuff.
Doctor, the children that you autopsied, where on the bodies were those wounds?
All over.
Again, where were the kids shot? Now, it's been reported that the kids were shot 11 times, if not more. We're talking about bodies that are like 4 feet tall. Obviously, there were bullet wounds everywhere on these bodies.
How many boys and how many girls?
I have no idea.
This is early on in the investigation. He hasn't gone in and taken photos of every child. He does not know. He's not lying. If he was going to lie, and this was all a cover-up, the Illuminati or the New World Order, whoever is pulling his strings, because remember, he's an actor, they would have told him exactly how many boys and how many girls were dead. He would have been told that information.
It's H. Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, Carver, C-A-R-V-E-R, and it's the second. And that's why I don't use the H, because when my father asked my grandfather, he said, fine, but as long as you never call him Harold. It wasn't a tent, it was this magnificent thing.
Okay, well, these aren't the words I would use, and probably most of you, but that's the way he's describing it. He's not lying by saying that it's not there. He's not lying by saying, you know, it's something else other than a tent. He's just saying it's a tent, and, you know, to him, he's amazed by how the tent is. Doesn't make him an actor.
3 vehicles, and a lot of guys that drive them. We're actually, one of the highlights of my administration is that we make them as nondescript and unmarked as possible. It's to foil you guys.
Ooh, big slip up by the New World Order. You know, here he goes. One of the highlights is that we make them nondescript. Now, why do they make them nondescript, and why aren't they in big, bright letters saying, you know, portable morgue? Here we put dead people in them, with big clown signs on the side of them saying, hey, look, 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 and just to foil you guys. They don't want reporters taking photos of dead people, especially little children. If any newspaper ran a picture of any of these dead children on their front page, I'm sure that they would get millions of complaints.
Well, located that means you don't have evidence.
I just...
You don't know. You gotta check it.
They're up all on the second floor, and I didn't get there today. Sorry, I don't.
How young was the young?
Here we go. Him laughing again. I will show you many instances of him laughing, acting like a goofball. One thing after, this is what I'll say. After watching hours of him testify, giving interviews, and whatnot, he tries to be as comedic as possible at any time. Doesn't matter if he's talking about a bullet going through a brain or anything of that nature. He tries to make a joke. This is the type of guy he is. He's not doom and gloom. He has a sense of humor. It's not my sense of humor, but he has one. Even though theoretically he's seen the deaths of over 30,000 people, and at this point he's just witnessed the death of 20 children plus adults. So I mean, the fact that he can even talk proves that he's a professional in his field. Now, the fact that he laughs and does some weird motion with his head shouldn't discredit anything else.
As long as you never call him Harold.
Okay, well, now they're just being repetitive, so we'll move on. Here we have Dr. Carver in an actual courtroom setting in which he's to testify. Now, if you weren't convinced at all that he's not an actor, here he is under oath, okay, in a courtroom, stating the facts that he's about to state. So, if you want to pretend he's an actor, faking whatever on TV, that is totally fine. But you cannot get into a court of law and then, under perjury, perjure yourself. That is a jailable offense, no matter what you say. If you say the earth is square, under oath, that is lying. You can be, it's a lie. You can't lie under oath. It's one thing that the law does not tolerate. So here we go. Here's the case. Interviewing Carver. Sits in the witness stand. Now listen.
Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and official title.
My name is Harold Wayne Carver. I'm the Chief Medical Examiner for the State of Connecticut.
Can you please state your business address?
Business address is the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, 11 Shuttle Road in Carver, Connecticut.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, so he's just under oath given his name as Dr. Carver of Connecticut, and he has told him he's the medical examiner. There you go. Not an actor.
Dr. Carver, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You are the Chief Medical Examiner for the State of Connecticut. And as such, can you indicate to us how many assistant or associate medical examiners you employ?
We have 5 other full-time forensic pathologists.
Now, I'd like you to also watch during his testimony that he likes to just go out of his way to laugh or, you know, say, he could be saying anything and somehow he thinks it's funny, but it's not.
In the office.
Okay.
Actually, we're slotted for that. Right now we have 4.
Can you indicate...
Okay, we just saw him do his famous laugh. He's talking about how the fact that they have 4 staff instead of 5. Now, I don't know what's funny about that, but you see he's under oath, he's on the stand, there's no reason for him to lie. This is his persona, this is the way he is, and at any chance he gets, he laughs and thinks whatever he just said is a joke. Does not make him an actor, just makes him, you know, a guy who thinks his jokes are funny, even though they're not jokes.
For how long have you been the Chief Medical Examiner for the State of Connecticut?
I was first appointed in 1986 in a sort of an emergency situation, and then resumed my position as Deputy Chief for 2 years, and I've served as Chief continuously since 1989.
There you go. He just told you that his career basically started in '86, but he became the Chief Medical Examiner in 1989, which is exactly what I showed you earlier. He's saying this under oath at a trial. They would not put an actor in his position, you know, before Sandy Hook to bring in some actor. This is a man who's real. He's a real doctor. This is a case that has nothing to do with Sandy Hook in any way. Lanza's father's not there. Lanza's mother's not there. It's not a custody battle about Adam. It has nothing to do with, you know, LIBOR. It has nothing to do with aliens. It has nothing to do with the New World Order. This is just a case in which he presided over the autopsy of someone who was shot. And here he is. And he's even doing his weird laughs and sighs that everyone says, oh, obvious actor, because, you know, he doesn't act normal like everyone else, even though this man has personally seen over 30,000 dead people, which I give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to thinking you're funny or trying to make light of situations that aren't really laughable.
Now, can you indicate to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury whether or not 2 of your assistant medical examiners were Dr. Malcolm Shaw and Dr. Ira Carver?
Dr. Shaw was, and Dr. Camper still is.
As to Dr. Shaw...
there you go. Was that funny? Was that funny at all? And you see he started off with, a big long and then he laughed. Should I keep showing it over and over like they do the other times? Here we go.
Dr. Shaw was, and Dr. Camper still is.
As to Dr. Shaw...
now, obviously you saw the laugh again, which for no reason should be there. They're asking him, who does he work for? You know, I don't know how that's funny, but okay, whatever. And I would just like to point out that I have no problem against this guy, but, you know, he's doing some weird things, but that doesn't mean that what he's saying isn't true. So let's fast forward here, because this interview he gives is almost 40 minutes long. So here we go. We will start it. Here, let's start here. Here we go.
You're interested in the third one, sir?
Yes.
Oh, we missed him laughing. Here, we'll go back just a bit.
keeper of
all three.
all three, but in particular, we're interested in the third one, sir.
Yes.
Regarding the third one, what does that consist of?
Well, making sure that they're distributed according to law and regulation for those who have access to them, and a very subcategory of that is if the original person who wrote them is no longer available, then I'm the substitute hitter. I'm the one who...
There you go. He said at least 5 times, with pauses of pause. Then he says something, pause. Then he laughs again. This is just his character. This is the way he acts. This is the way he is. He's under oath here. He's talking about the death of some woman who was shot in the head. There's nothing funny about this. It's just the way he is. Let's zoom up a bit more here. No, this is the next one. So I'll go back just a few seconds. So again, watch for the ums and watch for the laughs.
If the original person who wrote them is no longer available, then I'm the substitute hitter. I'm the one who presents the case.
Okay. Investigations into death, is that a significant part of your workload?
That's what we do. Period.
How is it or when is it that the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner is called in to investigate a death?
There are laws and regulations that state that certain types of deaths are reportable to us. Our main goal is to investigate sudden, unexpected, and violent deaths, but the categories that are reported are considerably broader and include not only those that are sudden, unexpected, or violent, but also people who die outside of the hospital, people who die dead on arrival, people who die within 24 hours of admission, or those who are to be cremated. The last category we investigate to the point of signing a document that says we don't need their bodies for the other investigations. The criteria...
There you go. He's talking about dead bodies and, ums and laughs. Okay, let's move on.
Have an autopsy. What do you mean by an autopsy?
Autopsy is a medical examination of a person's body. We talk about it in terms of an external exam and an internal. That's a convenient way to write the reports, but they're all wrapped up together. During the external phase of the autopsy, we examine the outside looking for evidence of injury, evidence of disease, or evidence that things are normal, because what didn't occur sometimes is important to the questions people have about a death. We would also collect anything that's on the outside of the body that may be of value if analyzed in another laboratory to help contribute information about how the death occurred. A classic example of that is a pedestrian struck by an automobile. There may be paint chips on the person or clothing, and part of our job would be to collect that. During the internal phase of the autopsy, the body is open. It is opened using incisions, something like a surgeon would use, but considerably larger.
And as you can see, now when he starts actually talking about his job, talking about the procedures that actually happen, he becomes more professional because that's actually who he is. He's a professional medical examiner. He's not someone who you interview. He's not someone you put on TV. He is just a person who does a job that is a medical examiner. He said and then when he gets into the technical details of his job, there is no there is no pausing, there is no laughing. He just gets down to the grassroots of what he does. Well, let's move on.
Are the autopsies recorded or memorialized by means of pictures?
They're part of it. There's a written document, but also our specialty is in sometimes defined as the things that have gone wrong with the body that you can see, and so pictures are a very important part of our record-keeping system.
Now,
there you go. Now, would you like me to rewind that where he just completely does not know what to say? He is pausing, uh, uh, um, uh, with a smile, of course, because that's the way he is. Okay, here we go again. Now, this time he's actually a presenter, Dr. H. Wayne Carver II. Length is 46 minutes, 17 seconds. The topic is ballistics and forensics, which he is a professional. Chief Medical Examiner, Office of the Medical Examiner, Farmington, Connecticut. This lecture will discuss the dynamics of ballistics and its effects with trauma-related injuries. Okay, one sec. Okay, here we go. He is giving a conference on ballistics and forensics, and here we go.
Which is actually the same time they discovered Legionnaire's disease, but we didn't get it.
That's when they discovered Legionnaire's disease, but he didn't get it. Sad.
But we're waiting in the wings. I'm sitting there with my 50-year-old Miraphone E-flat tuba, and we...
Here you go. In this just 10-second clip so far, he has said 3 times, which, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's exactly the way he talked during his Sandy Hook interview.
Before us is the Rochester Jazz Band, okay? And these guys are awesome. And then not only are they awesome, their horns all match and all this stuff. And we're sitting there with this old equipment and our Mozart charts. And it's like, how the hell do we go on after that? So, usually people are cranked up for my stuff, and it's like, how do I go on after that?
There you go. That's some pretty odd behavior. Kind of reminded me of the whole head tilting, laughing thing, but that's just my opinion. Let's see what else he does. Here we go.
If it was Fort Riley, we went to my grandmother's house in St. Louis, but otherwise, if it was Fort Carson, we'd go along. Deployment, there was a different word for deployment when my father was in, they called it a social disease. It was known as going to Korea. So thank you for what you did. And I routinely get liquored up every Memorial Day when they show The Longest Day, and then I call my sister and I'm crying on the phone, and she says, well, Dad did it so you didn't have to. So
some more hilarity.
Now, that's as long as I ever go without too many jokes. I wanted to give some...
He just finished saying about his jokes. So even he acknowledges that he makes a lot of jokes.
I screwed this up. What did I do? All right, I'm going to try to do this left-handed. I trained in Chicago, and in those days, the medical examiner's office would pull in about 1,000 gunshot deaths a year. The height of the big gang wars between the Black Gangster Disciple Nation and the Blackstone Rangers.
If you'll also notice, he does scratch and rub his head quite a bit. Just something I noticed. Oh, there I go. I even numbed myself.
And I'm going like, nothing to brag about here now. After you guys. But
so he's just finished talking about how there was 1,000 gang member deaths in Chicago in 1 year, and then he started laughing about it. Now, I'm not trying to attack this man at all. I'm just trying to show that this is the way he is. This is the way he thinks. This is the way he talks. He's not an actor. If he was an actor, he would never win any role, any award for anything. Some more.
The more people get diarrhea. The more guns there are in a society, the more people get shot. And everybody says, well, that's crap, man. They got lots of guns in Canada. Well, it's a different matrix, okay? But the rank of the...
Here, let's do that one again because that's worth noting.
The more people get shot.
And everybody says, well, that's crap, man. They got lots of guns in Canada. Well, it's a different matrix, okay? But the rank of the curve, the steepness of the curve.
That was just awesome. That just goes to show you he's not a public speaker. And some more.
And by the way, with the field strip, my father was a smuggler, collector during World War II.
Here, let's do that one again.
And by the way, with the field strip, my father was a smuggler, collector during World War II. And I could field strip an M1 carbine blindfolded when I was 12.
So there you go again. That was pretty odd. Followed by, I don't even know how to describe that. But let's keep going.
Can't do it anymore. Okay, but I know the drill. So they will. You can use that to reconstruct part of the scene. Long weapons. They also have different ejection patterns, and we talk about that and things. This is where that's my son, my skinny son. No, it's me a long time ago. Demonstrating how you use 3 points to improve your control over the extended range and accuracy of a long weapon. Got arrested? I don't know, but and I talk about the different bullets and different calibers. The big one on the 41 on the top is kind of a cheat. That's a multiple warhead reentry vehicle for tear gas. If anybody knows how to get rid of this thing, it's in my office. I don't know how to throw it out. But obviously the projectile.
Another joke that just wasn't funny.
Or as the naval officers call them, a gun. Do they still make you do this is my weapon, this is my gun? This is for fighting, this is for fun? Never mind. But you hear weapons in terms of it's either going to be a decimal fraction of an inch or in metric millimeters. And whether it's a decimal fraction of an inch in millimeters, how many places in the decimal fraction, and any words that are attached to it. The first number is the diameter of the projectile. All the rest of it is code for the other engineering specs.
Hello. This is just an interlude to my video. I'd really appreciate it if you'd actually watch the whole video before you just downvote it and then don't actually watch it. And if you're going to leave comments, at least leave comments that are relative to this video. The fact that some dog named Sandy Hook died in LA, I don't know, 10 years ago, is not relevant to this. And of course that didn't happen. That's just a stupid example of the stupid things that I read. People come out of nowhere talking about Jesus, Satan, aliens, New World Order, Illuminati. And what's really funny about this New World Order, Illuminati thing is that these people seem to think that they know everything about what the CIA does. They know about the brainwashing, they know about kidnapping, they know about tyrannical, government takeovers. They seem to know everything, but it's supposed to be a secret somehow. They know every single symbol by the Illuminati. They know everything that's going on and how it all relates to this shooting. But they don't, if you're not supposed to know, how do you know? If you're not, it's like the Bible. The Bible's there and anyone can read it. Now, when I read all these comments about Satan, Illuminati, New World Order, it's not a very good secretive society if everybody on the planet knows about it. And the people who think that no one else knows about it goes out of their way to show, and of course it's sheeple, which is really funny because we're sheeple because we watch the news and we don't jump to conclusions about things, but you're not a sheeple if you listen to one person. Alex Jones is, a good example, but we'll take another Jones. There was a guy named Jones who had Jonestown. He had all these people convinced that, the end of the world was coming and they had to move to South America. So they did. And what happened was they were Americans that did this, and because of that, there were people in the United States that were claiming that Jones had kidnapped their children and relatives, and it was a cult. So a few people went down, even I believe a senator, and when they were leaving, the people who went down to investigate, when they were leaving, the Jones people went to the airport and killed them because, they were going to come back to the United States and tell people, "Ooh, look what all the bad things they're doing." Now, that was bad enough, but then Jonestown became infamous for the fact that every single person there killed themselves because Jones told them, "Well, it's the end of the world, and you might as well just kill yourself." Now, I would consider that being sheeple. When you convince hundreds of people to commit suicide all at the same time because the end of the world is imminent, to me that's being a sheeple. Watching CNN or Fox or whatever you watch, and you watch the news and then you come to conclusions on your own, is not being a sheep. Listening to one person who then has one person repeat it, then has one person repeat it. Hundreds of videos on YouTube are exact duplicates of each other. And all they do is say the same thing. Liber came out, hundreds of videos came out. Then it was proven no way in hell Liber had anything to do with this. Then ex-convict came on TV, and he convinced the mainstream media that his nephew, because he claimed to be Adam Lanza's uncle, he convinced them that his nephew was on FNAP, antipsychotic drug. Okay, so the media did fall for it. But then the media did a follow-up and found out that he really wasn't the uncle. But that wasn't good enough for the conspiracy people because hundreds, again, videos started popping up about how FNAP was the cause. And what's really funny is that if you do a search for LIBOR or FNAP, you will still get results. The people who have been 100% proven wrong leave those videos and comments still up. Now, that to me doesn't seem very sane. That to me is you got fooled, and instead of admitting that you were fooled, you leave it up for everyone to read, which just shows that you're ignorant to what's going on. So, yeah, sheeple, whatever you call me, whatever. Watch the video to the end, and then you can bash me whatever way you want because, I'm not going with, which is really funny, I'm not going with the crowd, which is that Sandy Hook was a hoax, so I'm a sheeple, but the people, the hundreds, thousands that all believe the same thing, it's almost like, tomorrow there'll be a story that Adam Lanza was North Korean, and one site Alex Jones will say it, Adam Lanza was mind-controlled North Korean and he was coming here to kill every child in the United States. Then hundreds of people, thousands of people will then repeat that over and over again, making videos, posting it to websites. To me, that is sheeple. Why don't you people do your own investigation instead of just believing everything you hear and then spreading the word to everyone else? The LIBOR scandal is false. And the reason, which is funny, the reason LIBOR was happening was that James Holmes, he was also, linked to the LIBOR scandal because of his dad, as was Adam Lanza because of his dad. And the theory is that there's trillions and trillions of dollars at stake. So to stop James Holmes' dad from testifying, or Adam Lanza's father from testifying, they killed their sons and made their sons, kill hundreds of people, or like 100 people. Well, shoot them anyways. Now, if that happened to me, if my son went on some massive rampage shooting spree and killed a whole bunch of people, that wouldn't make me not testify. If anything, that would make me testify more. But the bigger question is, if that's the way it's going to be, why didn't they just kill the fathers and their brothers and their mothers and their grandmothers. If trillions and trillions of dollars are at stake and they can brainwash anyone they want and make them go on a shooting rampage, why go through all that when all you have to do is kill the parents? Simple. So again, yeah, downvote me all you want, but I have shown that there's no way that this guy's an actor. He's been in his field for over 30 years, and he does a lot, and he laughs a lot, and he just acts normal or abnormally in real life, and I've proven that. Thank you, and yeah, thank you.